balls.
I'm not thanking you. I said you have no balls for going on the put side, so I'm standing corrected that I was wrong.
Okay.
You're welcome. Yeah. I digress. Thank you for your time.
All right. Well, did anyone talk about crypto with their families or stocks?
I know some people are probably getting weird looks for the stock tips they gave out last year. I want to hear your cringe stories. Maybe bring some people up from the crowd.
No, but earlier I think it was 2 weeks ago actually, I had a coworker tell me I should buy this micro cap that's been down 95% on the year because
All right, well, what the heck is going on in the background with you, Weeb? Yeah.
Opinion, make me host.
I can't. You're invisible.
He's building build-up blocks.
All right, I'll leave. Come back.
I was stirring some food in my air fryer.
If you need me to bring some people up, I'm as host.
Yeah, I was drunk and telling all my family members about crypto and Robinhood and everything they can do to invest.
You know who I want to hear from? I want to hear from Basic Jones. I want to see what Basic Jones did on Thanksgiving. And sorry, Lunch Money, I cut you off, but Basic
You're
Jones.
good, buddy.
Wait.
Possibly the most American of us all. Certainly more American than me. All right, well, he's getting his...
So basic.
Luce got his profile back. There we go. I see your picture now.
Sorry about that. I think I had Goonies playing in the background, so I was trying to mute Goonies. My IBKR's launching, so it's taking over and doing its first pop-up windows, so I can't get back to the WSB window.
Hey, one of the meth guys from yesterday is back.
Yeah. So it's 7:30 my time, so that's why I didn't realize, that it's 8:30 else. Everybody else.
Not excited. Hey, Opinion, don't we have a special announcement?
We do. Do you want to go for it?
No, you started this.
Can I do the intro?
Yes, our special. Oh, are you talking about the fact that we are changing up our formats? We're no longer doing.
Oh, well, yes, and what tomorrow is technically tomorrow, but we decided we'd do it today.
Saturday. Oh, yes, that's right. Tomorrow is tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary. We've been doing these for a whole year, every single trading day. Maybe missed like 2 or 3 over the course of a year, but it's been one lap around the sun. And so, really excited that we were able to keep this up for so long and reach almost more than 500,000 listeners. So cool stuff. I hope you guys got some value out of it, because otherwise the last year of my life was wasted. So thanks for coming out, and we'll start doing new stuff in the new week.
Over Thanksgiving, we had the uranium cage match, so it got my mind thinking about mining, not uranium, because I just think that idea is too far out there. But I did pitch the silicon mining idea to some family members over Thanksgiving.
And how well received was that?
I mean, I think a lot of the older relatives didn't really understand the importance of silicon, especially with semiconductors and technology. But definitely a lot of the younger cousins and whatnot were like, oh, that makes total sense. I was like, yeah, just the way we mine for different minerals, I think silicon would be the next one that we're just going to really need.
Hey, Opinion, should I talk about the new format?
Well, people were just asking in Discord, so I'll just quickly touch on it. Yeah, so Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to continue the same community talk format, but on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we'll do some more interesting cage match-like things. So if you're not familiar with what that was what Lunch Money was just referring to, where we find an interesting topic. Maybe one of you will come up with that topic. And then we do like a dedicated like one-on-one session, or like multiple, like 4 or 5 people and we just talk about just that one thing. And I think that's going to be really interesting. It's going to give us space for the community talks for people to prepare and whatnot. So should elevate these talks for everyone.
Well, also, what about the market open?
Yes.
You want me to tell? Okay.
Markets do open.
So yes, this is true. So for those of you who, so it's painfully obvious that while we're talking about trades, nobody can make them because the markets aren't even open. So some of you may be active in other channels, Discords, whatever, where they're actually talking active trades. For those of you who watch Tasty Trade, you know what I'm talking about. We thought it'd be a good idea. So we've been keeping the talks open when the market opens, but we want more people that are actual traders during the day to feel free to come up and discuss their trades. You know, for example, I might say, hey, I really like the Best Buy at this price, so I'm going to sell some puts. What are you guys seeing? I'm going to sell these puts at this, and then we could discuss actual live trades, which I think could be a little bit more helpful than just talking about the trades beforehand. We can still talk trades and discuss the trades before the market's open, but you know, if we can't even make the trades, we don't know what the spreads are. Yeah. So I'll be a little bit more present during those days because I actually work during that time, you know, mopping all those floors. But yeah, so that's the idea.
Thank you for your service. Ladies and gentlemen, let's get a round of applause. Put your hearts up. Let's go. Put those hearts up, emojis up. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 year. We've reached 1 year. We're going to have a new show. Let's go.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks,
opinion.
guys.
I started doing that first write-up of all the trades that everybody did on Wednesday. And as I was doing it, I got through like 5 trades and I was like, this is stupid. Because I'm giving everybody a bunch of trades that people did like yesterday or 2 days ago. So like, it doesn't make any sense. So instead, like when we're making trades, I'll just jump back in. If the Wall Street Bets chat's still open, I'll just jump back in here and call them out as they're going on.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, for sure. Anybody. I mean, and like me, I might not be there the whole time, but I'll jump in if I have trades. So like, yeah, anyone feel free to just hop on, hop off. Doesn't matter. Share your trades. Ask if anybody else is making the same trade. You know how the spreads are, whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you know, I guess this commenter is right. I guess this is season 2 we're going into.
It's true.
WSB season 2. And speaking of trades, let's get into it. We've spent 10 minutes housekeeping, so let's get to the fun stuff.
Looking to do some momentum trading on Coinbase today if they pump on their proof of reserves announcement. They just announced
fake
reserves.
news alert. Sorry, I have to cut in.
Tell me about it. Tell me why
their
it's fake.
deposits. I think it was hodl.com that made that article. But their deposits, customer deposits, it's not the equivalent of cash on the balance sheet. And this is also stated in their financial statements. So that was the strangest article I've seen in a long time. And the fact that a lot of people were getting excited about it made me, you know, both hands on my face. But yeah, they're just customer deposits.
But unlike FTX, they didn't use them to buy houses in the Bahamas, which I think is the exciting thing of the news.
Yeah. Great news for Coinbase. They're not committing massive fraud.
Nice.
Yeah, that's extremely bullish considering they have 33 million Bitcoin.
$33 billion worth of Bitcoin.
They're housing it.
5,000 a
I
month.
say again, they are housing that Bitcoin. It's not theirs. I hope you guys understand the difference.
I'm sure. Yeah, we got it. But that being said, even when these exchanges are flash or showing off their proofs, one of the big things that came out of the FTX thing was that they would just move money around. So it would be the same pile of money and they would just move it when people want to authenticate or do these attestations and then just take it right back. So can you even trust any attestation just showing that they have reserves like that? I don't know.
Wait, so Luce, this may be a dumb question, obviously, because smooth brain, but would the same be said about Microstrategy because of their large amount in Bitcoin, or do they actually own the Bitcoin?
MicroStrategy is just exposure to Bitcoin, yeah? Like, they should have it on their balance sheets. Is that, like, correct? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't looked at their financial.
MSTR.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I
Yes, you are
agree.
correct.
Yeah, they own it directly. It's not like customer deposits or something. They went out and bought it.
Okay, so if they didn't, that'd be a massive fraud. That'd be fraud. That'd be direct fraud. But speaking of potential fraud, if anyone knows about the Grayscale ETFs, like Grayscale Bitcoin, Ethereum, a whole bunch of cryptos, I think this was early last week, they were essentially asked to prove their reserves, and they said they could not do that because of potential security issues, which is hilarious because other crypto related stocks, they do prove their reserves. So Grayscale ETFs, I don't know what's going on there, but some of them are discounted. Like, they're trading 50% below their net asset value. And for those who don't know, typically the ETFs, they should be trading within 0.5% of net asset value. Like that, plus or minus 0.5% might be too wide of a variance. So they should be trading just about at net asset value. So for an ETF to be trading at a 50% discount to net asset value, that just means the investors don't believe management at all. Or 50%.
But if you believe in GBTC, then you should buy shares or buy calls on that ticker.
Yeah, you could be getting a discount, I guess. Yeah,
I'm not, but I don't
So
believe
puts
it.
on BlackRock.
Well, I was trying to figure out if there was a worthy pairs trade, like short 1 unit of MicroStrategy and long 2 units of GBTC or something like that. But I haven't figured out what the ratio should be yet.
Did you get a new mic?
I am on my cell phone because No Erection doesn't want to be at my desk.
Yeah, I hope whatever you do, you don't short MicroStrategy directly, because I'm seeing the cost to borrow currently at 73%.
That's kind of pricey.
Inputs or leaps, maybe cheaper.
Of Grayscale's reserves, there's been some OSENT researchers that have gone out, done some chain analysis, and have only been able to find roughly $367 million of their supposed $600 million in Bitcoin. So perhaps the 50% discount they're trading against Bitcoin spot price, maybe that's accurate, because maybe they only have half of what they say, in which case the redemption value would be half of their previously stated reserves. So it's something I'm watching, but I'm certainly not longing.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but like our friendly neighborhood bank, like Bank of America, or any of the other national banks that we have, if they had to prove their deposits or their reserves, it would come in at around 10% of the deposits, right? Because isn't the reserve requirement for banks less than 10% right now?
Right, so it'll be 1 over whatever that percentage is.
Yeah, and then if Coinbase can demonstrate that they have the deposits that they claim to have, that actually puts them in a stronger position than any national bank that we currently have in the U.S. Right?
So
I think national bank deposits are in the mid tens of billions, so it's definitely comparable. But I don't know if it's bigger than all of them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. But by the way, this will really toot your whistle. The Federal Reserve requirement for banks is currently set to 0, and it's been that case since COVID, really started kicking in gear. It was part of the whole, like, let's loosen up and let's increase liquidity because the world's going to end, we think. So yeah, it's still set to 0, but they still have more deposits, like way more deposits than Coinbase. And on top of that, their deposits are, like actual global currencies, not crypto. So there is still a massive difference there.
All right. So final plays on all things crypto. Don't short MicroStrategy and potentially play volatility on Coinbase. Is that what I heard?
Don't short MicroStrategy directly because it's way too expensive to do that. It might be cheaper to just buy the puts, even though those are expensive as hell too. So get
Yes.
staffy if you're going to short stuff at these levels. That's the thing.
Yeah, and also potentially buy GBTC if you think that the 50% discount is unwarranted.
Can I
So
say
then
one
moving
thing about MicroStrategy before we wrap that up?
For sure.
Okay, so MicroStrategy has purchased Bitcoin, holds it on their books. Something else to consider is FASB, the National Accounting Standards Board, about a month ago came out with guidance that crypto assets, Bitcoin, should be measured with fair value accounting, and that's going to provide a tremendous increase on the balance sheet of MicroStrategy, others that hold Bitcoin. Not to get into all the weeds of accounting, how I understand it, they will now be allowed to report gains and losses in current value rather than just taking a one-time reduction at the price they bought it. So it's a more fair measure of the value of the asset, adjusted quarterly rather than once.
This is bullish for MicroStrategy.
Yes, very, incredibly, especially.
Aren't prices lower though than when they adjusted last time?
Well, if they're buying here, which they are, then that obviously will show through. And whenever price does rise, they'll be able to measure it at the current value.
I think this is all predicated on crypto prices going right back up. Otherwise, they're still screwed. The accounting change doesn't improve the business, and it all depends on management. That's the thing with these. Like, you literally buying crypto directly is a safer bet, which is the oddest thing to say. It's a safer bet than buying most of these ETFs or stocks like MicroStrategy, because there's, I mean, the management. Look at FTX. Like, the management, some of these guys, is equivalent if I just came up here and said, I'm gonna take this Bitcoin mining company public. Does anyone want to invest in me? And then everybody said, yeah, we fucking love Bitcoin. And I'm like, okay, here we go. And then it's just me, some dope sitting at my fucking desk talking to people on WallStreetBets. Like, that's what some of these executives are. So it's a pretty big risk.
It is, but just to
You should
focus
merge with the
directly.
spammers. There's a lot of spammers looking for money.
Yeah, if you're holding Bitcoin on your books, you're now going to be fairly valued with it. So I guess that's the high level, as none of these companies have to date. So accounting will be more favorable. I guess that's the summary of it.
So why does MicroStrategy have a 35.13% short interest?
All right. I think that's a great question, but we've talked about crypto enough. Let's move on to something else. Sorry, JT.
Yep.
Have any Black Friday sales reports started coming out? I noticed that Amazon, if you order today, the earliest delivery, at least here to New York City, is November 29, which is a 4-day delivery instead of the usual 2 or 1.
Interesting. I don't know. The one thing I have noticed around Black Friday is that ad spend seems to be way down. I don't see any ads anywhere. So that could be just a me thing, could be better targeting, but
I think everyone
have a
here is
feeling.
poor. We all lost our money. I'm actually, I'm kind of slightly leaning towards the big balls play relating to deals. I kind of want to wait till after the holidays when they're like, ah, shit, people did not buy as much as we thought, and then they have to slash prices to get rid of inventory, prepare for a recession.
So which companies own their inventory versus just ask the vendors to own the inventory?
Amazon.
No, Amazon owns only some of it. The rest of it, especially the third-party marketplace, they charge vendors for that inventory to get it off their books. Walmart is the same. Aside from Target, do we know if, for example, Best Buy holds inventory on their books? Unfortunately, I'm not near a computer to look this up.
So you said Walmart doesn't? I thought they do.
So Walmart in their supplier agreements, they'll basically say, "Hey, we'll put your shit in the store, but it's your inventory. We don't pay for it until it sells."
So the Costco treatment. Okay.
Yep.
I think Target might actually own a good amount.
Target definitely owns their inventory, which is why they've been getting shit on so hard in the last, 3 earnings reports now?
Yeah.
Now,
What's
who
the
else
benefit? What's the benefit of a company owning it outright, like Target, compared to like Amazon's strategy?
There is no benefit. The original business model was retailer buys from supplier. Retailer takes the risk of owning the product and putting it on the shelves and getting it sold for some markup. Amazon and Walmart, and I'm sure some others, but definitely Amazon and Walmart, have turned that business model on its head, where supplier is responsible for holding the product on their books until it sells.
So Walmart and Amazon is more like a storage.
It's
Not
more like
even
consignment, where you sell something on behalf of someone else. The benefit for going the consignment route is pretty obvious in that you're more lean on capital. But when you own the inventory yourself, you can, since you're taking on that risk, you should be expected to get paid for it, and so your margin should be bigger.
Copy
Well,
that.
Amazon charges sellers something like 18 to 20% of gross sales anyway, plus storage fees and other logistics related stuff. So the only real advantage, or the only real reason why people still sell on Amazon, is the size of the audience, the buying audience. Same for Walmart.
That's true, but remember, Amazon also has first-party sales, where Amazon pays for the inventory up front and then takes on that risk. And there you should be able, they will try to extract larger margins.
Also,
I don't think so. Because if you, the kind of products that Amazon does that on are things like Xboxes, PlayStations, Apple products. I get the impression those are all things which are meant to drive people to the website versus make a margin. Amazon will make a margin on things like accessories, iPad cases, chargers for the controllers, cables for the screens, that sort of thing.
Amazon is also hosting a global strike protest today, Black Friday. And to what you're saying about the delivery time, same thing here in Washington, D.C.
So you're 4-day instead of 2 at the moment?
Yep.
Could also be just delays from the holidays and all the backup from that. If there's one company I trust to do their logistics right, it's probably Amazon. But speaking of strikes, Apple's Foxconn problems continue as China's zero COVID policy is shutting down something like 80% of iPhone manufacturing capabilities.
You mean Paul Zhang, the China 3X Bear ETF?
Sounds reasonable to me.
Sounds
They've
like it to
been
me.
increasingly cutting off more and more economic data, which I think will be kind of interesting. What happens when you trade in an environment where nobody knows what's going on?
Hey guys, do you guys have any idea about the Brazilian stocks? Because they are always on strike, the whole country. So you guys have any idea on that?
Why are they striking, and what are your biggest companies?
They are striking because of the politicians. One of the president didn't get re-elected. So
Oh, you're talking about Brazil?
Yeah, Brazil. Yeah.
Yeah, one of them not accepting defeat after the election. He's finally coming out and Donald Trumping it.
So in that case, puts on PBR if it hasn't already gapped down.
It's going up. PBR is going up.
Yeah, that's what my play is actually calls on PBR.
Yeah, I don't know. That's my question, because it seems the strike is gonna be, taking a little longer than we thought. And don't you think that's gonna be going down instead of going up?
Can someone please check the the change in
PBR.
price in WZ? I believe that's the Brazil ETF ticker.
BRZU. That's the Brazilian ticker for Opten.
Who's striking, the Bolsonaro supporters or the other ones?
Yeah, the Bolsonaro supporters are doing the strikes.
Didn't the election court Tell him that he's got no basis for contesting the results.
That is correct.
That's correct.
Okay, let me cut through this. Well, first opinion. What have you been trying to say?
I've been just trying to say that, yeah, a lot of these have already moved down. I think PBR was down 37% already, and that was green in pre-market. And then BRZU is also down something like 25%, roughly in the past like month or couple weeks, and is up 5% in pre-market. And 5% is a lot for a 2x ETF. So
yeah, here's a brief history lesson. So first point, unions, strikes, stuff like that. Those typically, when they're big, they're typically not resolved within a couple weeks, even a couple months. So if you're trying to make a play on this, you need to keep that in mind. And I mean, there have been plenty of strikes, unions. We're still hearing about like the trucker strike, the railroad strike, right? So like, if you're trying to make a play on that, you should keep that in mind. And there could be a lot of chop in the interim. Something as big as what's going on in Brazil, that's not going to be solved anytime soon. It really isn't. And the second point I would make is if you look at those ETFs, especially the developing countries, the prices of those ETFs, they could go 10 years and not go anywhere. So I think the best thing for them is to know that the country's looking okay suddenly, and then the world is being very dovish and with their federal policy, monetary policy, and growth is back on the table. So that overall, these developing countries are kind of based on the world. If they're having their own problems, then it's nothing's going to change for a while. So I think you should really consider that if you're trying to make plays on Brazil.
The thesis for playing strikes or these types of labor-related events isn't that they'll be resolved quickly. It's that the initial reaction is an overreaction, and you want to play the contraction from that overreaction.
Well, that's what every play is, every short-term play. But I'm saying it doesn't always turn out the way you think it's going to turn out, So is it going to go up or down? Who knows? In the short term.
That's what every play.
Right. But I know a lot of people try to play like immediate events, but expectations are always subverted with unions and strikes and stuff like that. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, thanks.
Matinu in the comments said that his entire PBR thesis played out. I'd love to hear from him if he wants to come up. But other than that, I think we've kind of rolled around the Brazil kind of discussion quite well. Oh, welcome back, Walk Deep.
Hello.
Sir Hunter Stock, haven't seen you in a while. Lots of old faces here. What have you guys been up to?
Bought spreads on Apple and been trading some logistics stocks. Stuff's coming down in price.
Spreads? You say butt spreads on Apple?
Yeah, butt spreads.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, man. No, I grabbed calls and puts just on Friday or on Wednesday. So I'm sitting on those. We'll see what happens. That whole crazy shit going down at their main factory. I had a feeling, I don't know, I'm hoping that tanks it a little bit today. I can close out at least on the short side.
I just came here to hold hands and dance around with Scald because Nintendo's over 1050. That's all I'm here for.
Do I mean nothing to you, Nintendo fans?
No. It's just me and Scald. I only love him. I fell out of love with you yesterday.
Wait, what? I thought I pleased your daughter. In an intellectual manner, that is. All right. Well, what else we got? Do you want to talk about Nintendo? Is it the new Pokemon games are the fastest selling games ever?
No, please, any other topic.
You don't like? What do you got against Nintendo? Opinion? You don't like Thanksgiving. You don't like America. You don't like veterans. Now you don't like Nintendo.
Pokemon? Is it the Pokemon or is it the Nintendo?
It's the battles. I have PTSD. I'm sorry.
Pokemon.
You know who else has PTSD? Veterans.
Pikachu? Oh.
Hey, you know what it is? Is Pokemon are real in Canada?
It's not a game.
No, all Canadians are Pokemon.
Saturday.
Weird.
That was fucking epic, man.
Opinion, were you one of those kids that had seizures in that one Pokemon episode? Does anyone remember that?
Oh yeah, with Polygon exploding, it was very traumatic.
So anyways, yeah, did anyone see the news about Warren Buffett buying up those Japanese exchanges?
Didn't he use Japanese finance debt to acquire them?
Did he? I actually don't know.
My understanding of the deal is he basically borrowed a bunch of yen, used that, backed it with the assets in Berkshire Hathaway, and then used the yen that was borrowed to buy the exchanges. So
Oh,
that
I
when
like
the
that.
Japanese currency devalues, it's still earning a little bit of recurring income or operating income from the exchanges, but at a rate faster than the interest rate minus the devaluation.
Nah, sometimes Warren Buffett really does impress me. Hey, has anyone heard about investment and private investment flowing into uh, Japan's markets, and how Japan is now starting to be a little bit more accommodating to outside investors? Because that's going on right now. So I think what with the yen being pretty low, the Bank of Japan is saying that they need to get the yen back up, and now private investment is starting to find Japanese markets more attractive than they ever have in the past. I think we could see it's going to be a long-term thing, but I think Japan's equity markets could do really freaking well over the next, I don't know, 3 to 5 years.
Yes, I have seen
It
that.
doesn't sound like a bailout, does it?
I have seen that, and a good place to keep your eye on is Japanese railway systems.
I'm wondering how much
The
restructuring they're
East
doing.
Japan Railway.
Yeah, the yen is really low. There's some growing bull cases. Buy low, sell high kind of thing.
What's the symbol?
EJPRY.
Thank you.
East Japan Railway. I actually been looking into East Japan Railway. It's on one of my watch lists. I just wasn't too sure exactly how to play it.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. You've just mentioned transportation. You just mentioned the exchange and some other thing. That sounds like a complete failure of Japan there, and their entire currency looks like the yen's fall. So is that like a European, like when European needed a bailout?
Well,
Man, I just want to say I
Japan's
love your
been having
show.
a currency crisis for quite a while.
So I think they're trying to change that. The Nintendo split that came out the other day was specifically so that people in Japan could buy stocks, because it costs the same to go to college in Japan than it did to buy into Nintendo, because you could only buy 100 shares at a time. And so I wonder how much they're changing on the investment side overall, and if Nintendo is a product of that, right?
It costs more to go to college than to buy 100 shares of Nintendo. Can you explain that?
It apparently did. It was the same price. The same price for you to, I think, go to college for all 4 years as it was to buy into Japan or to Nintendo in Japan, which is why they split the stock. It went from 52, I think, to like 10, 20 a share, something like that. Scald may be able to tell you more about that.
I'm just curious how much the price of the exchange was. He bought an exchange. Warren Buffett. Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just wondering if what I'm seeing in Nintendo is part of a more global play from Japan overall to get, like Luce is saying, private investment up, because it makes sense. It fits, right?
Another place to look is Japanese housing. So their housing has actually been getting cheaper. You can buy houses over there for like $40,000. It's crazy.
I think we should all just move to Japan.
I'm hearing that too.
I'm on board.
I'm moving to
But-
Vietnam.
Hold on, isn't the Japanese housing market like even like the local view on housing? Like I've heard in Japan, people don't like buying old homes; they want new rebuilt homes. There's like a cultural thing about that, right?
Yes, they're
like,
very
isn't
much
that a
like that.
completely different market though?
It's just because the American dollar is so strong over there in Japan. But there's also that cultural thing about buying new things. They have like entire, You can get cars really cheap over there because they don't like buying used cars. You can get a bicycle over there because they don't like buying new bicycles. They like have graveyards of slightly used cars over there.
I think you're right, Lewis. Let's fucking go.
People are making money flipping cars, shipping them over from Japan into America and selling them because they got some
Alright.
rare stuff.
So I'm hearing the next big subreddit is going to be the Wall Street Weebs.
Otakus.
Oh God.
Ooh.
Please.
All right.
My beautiful Christian chat. Yes, Luz. You said all right.
No, I want to move past this immediately because I heard some words that triggered me personally.
Something I wanted to talk about, and then I'll just shut up, is Beijing going into lockdown. They announced that during Thanksgiving. And I think, like what Luce was saying with the dovishness and the optimism of COVID restrictions getting lightened or going away, and China coming out of this lockdown, it's dashed a lot of optimism. And I don't think I saw a lot of movement on the Chinese market. It's almost like they were ready for this priced in. I don't know how it's going to affect. Well, I'm pretty sure it's going to affect SPY negatively. So I'm going to be holding my puts today, see how the market does.
China recorded their highest COVID numbers, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like 2 days ago.
I remember like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe there's like this optimistic talk about China reopening, but I don't see them opening in less than a year.
So they're playing with like 20 delta cash secured puts against Yang. Sounds like.
I'll be honest, I don't understand the COVID thing in China. Like, are they just
Can you say that again, Hardy?
20 delta cash secured puts against Yang. The idea being it's slightly bullish to flat.
Thank you.
So, does anybody know why China seems to be struggling so much more with COVID than anybody else?
China has their zero COVID policy. Everyone else is willing to live with a little COVID.
I think it's because none of them have any pets. They're not a dog or a cat country. Check it out. That's where coronavirus came from.
What the fuck is this fake news?
And population density.
Yeah, density has a lot to do with it. But I think they had a lot of shitty vaccines. So I don't know. This I'm not savvy on. I don't know the mix, like how many, I guess like Moderna, Pfizer vaccines were distributed over there versus like their own. But a lot of their vaccines had something like 60 to 70% efficacy rate.
Yeah.
Versus, Pfizer and Moderna had something like what, like 98%, 95, 98%, something like that. So
It sucks real bad to not be friends with America, doesn't it?
So everyone's talking about, being bearish on China, but what makes you think that they're not going to just push out more stimulus to get things moving?
They are going to push in, I think it was $14 billion into the market. I was just kind of laughing at you guys calling this bearish yang, if you may call it that. So they're going to stimulate the economy just like Japan has. And that's why Japan stabilized their economy. I think that in regards to the COVID-19 cases, obviously, as mentioned by Luce and others, there is a 0% policy there, where they won't allow any COVID to go through on any city. And once there's, I think it's 10%, they start closing the doors. But the ports are open, so let's clarify that.
Yeah, I think the more interesting thing to come out of all this is that Bill Ackman just entered a pretty big short, or maybe he's been in it for a while, a big short on the Hong Kong dollar. And I don't know if you guys were around when George Soros allegedly broke the peg on the British pound, but that's kind of the same situation the Hong Kong dollar could see itself in, where it's pegged to the US dollar. And I wonder if, since it's China adjacent and / or China, depending on who you ask, if the fallout from this China situation will help break that peg and make Bill Ackman one very, very wealthy person.
China has so much U.S. dollar denominated treasuries that in the event they ever need to raise U.S. dollars to maintain the peg, they can just sell a bunch of their treasury position.
Exactly. I think Ackerman's a dumbass, and he's calling his short way too soon. China, yeah, China has way much leverage, especially when it comes to Hong Kong dollar. If they can't transfer the money to the Hong Kong, they'll find another currency to manipulate. And I guess the next in line would be JPY. But I digress. Yeah, but no,
I
Ackerman's play
agree.
is too early.
I agree with Bill Ackman is a retard. I think he's like 1 in 5 on all of his like, supposed big brain plays. And he has a big brain play every now and then, and people are like, Bill Ackman's one of the best. It's like, well, I think if he was, he'd be worth a hell of a lot more than 2.8 billion. So if he's been doing it long enough, so I agree with Bill Ackman's media.
So I am seeing that more countries are trying to pay for shit without U.S. dollars. I saw somebody was going to pay for something with gold instead of U.S. dollars. What does that mean?
He's been watching too much Fox News, is what that
No,
means.
I do not consume the Fox News, sir. That is an insult that is far too high for my caliber of person.
Hey, why get your daughter on? She's smarter than you,
bro. She won't wake up before fucking 2:00 in the afternoon. What are you
Does
talking
she watch Fox News?
No, no.
Well, good for
my
her.
son may. My son may actually. He's fucking weird.
And you got to work on that. Hey,
Yeah.
so what else we got? I'll throw this out there. I think China's ahead of most of the world in terms of getting over the global recession that we're facing. Because they were the first to take the biggest hit from COVID. They're the first to do massive stimulus. It's going to take some time, but I think they're going to be one of the first economies to actually come out of this. I don't think like right now, like everybody go long right now. I think it's going to be choppy, and they might have some lower lows than they had previously, but I think they'll be one of the first economies to come roaring back.
I feel that way
You
too
said-
because they really helped. You can see that once they closed down, that the logistics side just crushed, literally just fell on its back. And then as soon as they opened the ports back up, everyone was excited and went back to work. And then once they closed it back down again, you saw everyone clamp. So
That's just how China-centric the global economy is.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm hoping for an overreaction in SPY today.
What sector is gonna go up the most once China opens?
All of them.
I'm looking at electric cars.
I have hospitality.
Commodities should do well with the China reopen.
I feel like everything is just going to do really well if it reopens.
Oh yeah, everything's gonna do good. But I just just wondering, get ideas from everyone on what sector is gonna just skyrocket above the rest.
I think Chinese tech, because I think that Chinese tech, Alibaba was trading at freaking book value like a couple weeks ago. I mean, that's a little insane. Alibaba's not a small company, and they've had ridiculous growth. They've had more growth than the U.S. big tech companies. So, and I get it. I'm not saying like Baba needs to go up right now, but that's a little ridiculous. So I'm looking at Chinese tech.
Calls on Baba. Call on.
Is there not a concern that Baba's numbers aren't like real?
Oh, that's the same you could say for any Chinese company.
Yeah, I will say for any Chinese
Look
company.
at U.S. stocks. How many companies are coming out as fraudulent?
All right. Good point.
Hey, FTX is a great and reputable company, said their former CEO.
If you want to listen more to fraud in the Chinese market, you can watch the movie The Chinese Hustle. But otherwise, I think we've talked China to death. Well, sorry, maybe that's uncouth given the COVID stuff. But
well, I was going to say, if I just may say, China did release about 70 billion to boost the economy. Basically, the headline reads, "With cut to banks to reserve ratio." That came out this morning. And then basically, there is a big pledge by Tech Hub. Hangzhou pledges 14 million annual funding for the video gaming and esports. So I feel like they're going to try to push that esports movement. They do have had a crackdown, I should say, on their addicts. gameplay. Basically, young teenagers playing too much mobile devices and stuff, and really helping them focus on education. And I feel like, and as you know, TikTok's not over there, so that should say a lot.
Awesome, thank you. And so moving on, I know there's more countries than just China and Brazil in this world.
How about climate play?
Corn.
Are those
Did
the
I
same
just
play?
hear someone
Climate and
say corn?
Long bananas. Dole.
Are there any companies working on solid state battery that are in the stock market?
You mean other than Tesla?
Solid
I
state
got
battery. No liquids inside. No lithium. I think it is like SSDs, like flash disks.
Yeah, the only solid state battery I got that comes to mind, I don't know if they're above the market cap or not, but QuantumScape, that's the ticker is QS. So the last I heard, they only had up to 400 charge cycles per cycle or whatever, and they need to get it up to about 2,500 to 3,000 in order to be viable as a legitimate solid state battery. So I don't think they're there just yet, but you can look into them. They're publicly traded.
QuantumScape is 3.1 billion market cap. If I could assign a percentage score on, like, suspected scam, I would say they're like 90%, maybe like 85% scam. It's possible they're the real deal and they're getting it together. But if you look at their history and when they IPO'd, it was just super scam. So now maybe they're actually working on something. I don't know. And that's why I'd say maybe there's like a 10-15% chance that this company's the real deal. So I would definitely look at that one with a grain of salt. And the price chart will tell you everything.
What about ESS Tech? The ticker symbol is GWH.
What about
the ticker?
That's also a battery company. I just wonder if you guys have any clue about this.
I'm going to say you're the most in the know about all this than most of us.
Yeah, I never even heard of that company before.
I did want to
limit for the market cap.
Did want to mention Adidas and Puma, as well as BMW. They're Germany companies. Obviously, Adidas, if you heard about the whole Kanye West thing, but as someone mentioned before, Kanye West was just extra profit to their company. It wasn't actually their actual normal profit, right? If you minus him out. So they are a strong company still. Puma is okay. But anyway, so Germany is the next country to look at, in my personal opinion.
Germany's
I don't
doing
know about
some
that
shit.
Adidas comment. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm with him. I'm bullish on Germany. They I think they're the first country that actually got off Russian oil. At least that's what I've heard in the last couple of days. So they're making pretty big strides, I think.
That DR1 pipeline was going to Germany. So yeah, they're off Russian oil, but I don't know how much.
There's some, like, I don't know. I've seen 3 articles in like the last 3 days about how Germany's the only country in Europe that isn't in some way massively struggling because of Russia. And so I guess they've made, I don't know fully, but what I do know is that I feel like Germany's probably going to come out of this pretty well.
All right. I think this is probably a good time to mention that in season 2 of the Wall Street Bets talks, the market cap limits are more or less eliminated, but we just ask you to be mindful when you're talking about small companies and keep it limited.
So did we get rid of it?
Nice.
Market cap.
I'm going to go full American Pegasus here with these 2 plays on penny stocks.
Oh, God damn.
Ooh, now that is a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Penny was joking. It was just a big joke.
Oh, okay, never mind. Sorry.
Luke, we're not all rich like you are. I can only come up with $1.50 to invest.
That's like a full share of Amazon now, isn't it?
I can't unmute fast enough. God damn it.
These companies can't split their shares enough for you guys to afford them.
AMC can.
No, they'll just dilute. They don't need to split. They'll just dilute and keep bringing their own share price down.
But no, I'm actually not kidding. Market cap limit is out as of, well, tomorrow's a holiday. It's Saturday, so it's a Monday. That being said, we're doing also, if you want to talk more like stock stuff, there's always the Discord. We'll continue these talks into past 9:30 as we always do, into season 2, and we're doing more cool stuff in the Discord, including playing Jackbox this coming Tuesday and movie night on Monday. So check it out.
Did you guys
restricting
So
stocks to ones that have options on them?
Stocks that only have options. I think that's going to be very. Hey, people already don't Google for the market cap. I don't think they're going to check for options.
Well,
I wanna
because
talk
like
about
we've been
Grindr.
talking about Nintendo, and Nintendo doesn't have options.
Yeah, but that's because Nintendo's garbage.
Wow.
Okay, opinion. That is it.
Wow.
You can crap on America. You can crap on veterans. But don't you dare crap on Nintendo.
Yeah, that's like an American history thing.
Opinion's just mad because he's in Canada and nobody knows he exists.
I love Canada.
Don't you
I
just
love
mean Northern
Canada.
Montana?
Northern Montana.
Oh gosh.
So what's next, eh?
Speaking of Nintendo, though, I was down in the theme park down in Southern California, and they are going like putting all their chips on the table for this new Mario Brothers movie. They had like 5 different stores. They were all selling Mario Brothers merchandise. They're expanding the park, the Mario Brothers park.
You remember? You guys remember
they're
those
building
like
the whole
2
park.
weeks that I came and told you guys to buy Nintendo stocks?
I've had Nintendo for like a really long time, but yeah, it's getting pretty exciting. Things are moving. I think the Paramount's
That
getting
movie's gonna
involved.
flop.
As long as the kids see it, I don't give a shit about that movie. It's obviously for the kids, so I don't give a shit.
it's for
Chris
the kids.
Pratt isn't doing an accent. Fuck Chris Pratt. I don't care. But if the kids see it, then great.
Dude, what if this becomes like a Marvel franchise and 5 years from now we're going to see Yoshi 2 or some dumb shit? And it's like, my God.
Wait, what I want to know is where is the uproar over Chris Pratt, and why haven't people like actually gotten as mad at this as they have about Ugly Sonic? That's what I want to know. Like, where is the uproar?
Yeah, Sonic, you're not wrong. I can get behind that.
I didn't even know they were making a movie of Mario and Luigi until now.
I didn't know there was anything controversial about Chris Pratt.
So wasn't it like 6 months ago this was all being talked about, where they were talking about who was going to play what in the movie, and everybody was tripping the fuck out because Chris Pratt was Mario?
Opinion loves this conversation, by the way.
This is extremely market related. I'm so happy.
I mean, this is market related as hell, and Nintendo's about to go to the moon.
It's hard not to get involved, even though it's not market related.
That's all good. It's good fun. I mean, we got 3 minutes to market open.
Yeah. We got less than 3 minutes to market open. Any other plays out there?
I have
just want to give a shout out for Nintendo.
I have a option that expires today, and I'm really new to all this. Expires for Norwegian, strike price at 16.5. Do I just let it expire, or what do I do?
Listen,
Call your
hey,
no, you call
Listen,
your financial advisor, and they'll take care of that for you, because we're not going to tell you how to run your particular stocks.
Well, okay. So, first of all, who are you using to trade your stocks or your options? And then furthermore, go to youtube.com and type in how to sell this option, and that will tell you the information you need.
Quick question. What's the Nintendo ticker?
NT.
You got 2 of them. You have Yeah, you have NTDOY. That's the one that's trading at about 10.50, and then you have NTAI. Can you please stop that?
All right, yes.
You have
Enough with the fucking Mario scenes.
NTDOF. Is the Loose? Is that the one that trades out of 1-to-1? Because I know.
Yeah, just do
NTDO.
NTDOY because the F1 has shit volume. So just do Y.
Thank you. This is a little trick I learned in university. But if you go to this website called Google and then you search the company name and then stock, usually it comes up with the ticker. A couple more clicks around, you can learn a lot.
Wait.
Can I
What's
get the
Google?
ticker for that Google that I have to go to look up the stock?
What's the address?
Game changer.
Are you saying we can like go to a website and just type something in and search for it?
Market opens 1 minute.
So last year Black Friday kind of went
10 seconds
really
actually.
tanked, and so there's a chance here that it could tank again if these projections from Black Friday sales in the early mornings in America didn't turn out well. We could see some.
Today might be a good day to buy puts on the retail once the numbers come out for Black Friday if they're disappointing.
So yesterday I learned about a thing called opting outside. Have you guys heard of it?
Let's market open.
Apparently there's a movement this year to like go outside instead of buying things at Black Friday. It's like a hashtag and everything. So to I think it was Latter Day's point, we may see some negative.
I think what I really want to hear about is like what stocks blew up last Black Friday or around this time, and then where are they today? I mean, obviously, very different economies. Customer confidence was extremely high last year, much less high this year. People are a little sad because they lost all their money, but I wonder,
I think companies could see a slight boost in sales, and maybe that's what they'll boast about. But I mean, if you sell twice as much at half price of last year, or say like 60% of the price of last year, sure, your sales are up, but your margins are shit. So I think maybe this gets the impact gets drawn out, and maybe these companies of retailers are just pointing at their sales, and we're not going to know the impact until they report earnings. Alternatively, I think that's one potential scenario. The other would be that sales are just down compared to last year, and I think there's a good chance for that because it's been a while since we haven't been in a crazy bull market, free money environment. But when we do have years where spending isn't as high, it's not always, Black Friday sales are up versus last year. Like that's what we saw forever, but it's not always like that. So I think there's a good chance that sales are actually down and Black Friday sales are actually somewhat disappointing.
I think they will be. I think the atmosphere just isn't there for
it. So I've got this one penny stock, which I'm not going to call out, but I've managed to find.
I love you too.
I've managed to find people even dumber retail traders than myself that I'm able to sell these options to, and they're buying them, which is the dumbest thing because this company's definitely going bankrupt in the next 3 months. But if I can sell one more month of covered calls to these idiots, I will be green on selling the covered calls. And I just bought it on Wednesday. Hilarious.
Anybody just see Grinder drop 5% soon as market open?
Hello. Undervalued.
5.
Undervalued.
Hello.
Yeah, there's a lot of bears in Grinder.
Can you boys hear me?
Yes.
Hey, how you going?
Oh my
Good.
God.
What you got?
Sorry, I was just saying hello from Australia.
What's up, Australia?
Well, howdy.
What time is it for you now?
What time is it? It's like 12:30. 12:30 at night, yeah.
All right, go on. Sorry.
You guys see the 24th anniversary of Half-Life?
24th anniversary of what?
Half-Life the other day.
The video game?
Yeah,
What?
video
What
game.
are you
Yeah.
talking about, mate?
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Is it market related though? You know, like stocks?
No. Sorry. What is this stocks? Is this what we're talking about?
Bro, I listen. It's
Yeah,
12:30.
yeah,
Hold on. It's 12:30. Your whole family is awake. Are you guys on meth?
No,
it's really cool. I was just listening to you guys. It was fucking learning
It's
some real
6:30
cool
here,
stuff.
and
There.
it's a little too early for this.
Yeah, it's
I'm also
November
being
25th, 2022. You've been in a slumber for 70 years.
Do you
Been in
guys
his opal
do
mine.
any like
Down in his
crypto,
opals.
like Shiba, any coin?
What did you say?
I
Okay.
can't hear him.
Nice.
Can't
He
hear him
said
from the
Shiba.
end.
He said
All right.
Shiba Inu coin was his market related play.
Oh,
Good grief.
we can call him the Aussie. And if the Aussie comes back, maybe we let him talk for like 5 to 10 seconds just for our own entertainment, and then we
You
can
guys are
remove him. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I had a bit of a connection issue, so that might have happened to him.
Another play that I'll probably and that I'm going to be really looking at today is volatility. Going long on volatility. I think with Black Friday's perfect storm with the China lockdown announcements, and I think they waited until Thanksgiving on purpose.
Yeah, are you doing UVXY or UVIX? Because UVXY is like, that's what I was trying to ask you yesterday. UVXY is decayed down to 1.5x leverage, used to be 3x leverage. And I think UVIX is a newer product that's still holding 2x leverage on VIX. I was just wondering what you were trading.
I haven't decided yet, but they're both on my watch list. I think there's like quite a few more. But those are the two that I look at.
Yeah, there's SVIX, which is a short volatility. The thing I would caution about UVIX is the volume and liquidity. It's pretty bad. UVXY is still good for that, but ultimately, if you're trading UVXY or UVIX, you're expecting a big move down. You're expecting a sharp increase of volatility because if it doesn't happen anytime soon, you're just overpaying for calls that aren't going to make any money.
I am expecting a sharp downturn, actually.
Overall?
No, just short term.
So what are you trading to prepare for that?
UVIX or the other one.
Oh, sorry, you just mentioned that. Yeah. Paying attention. I'm paying attention.
Well, printed those
it's
150 Apple puts. That was nice.
It's the overreaction of China, of Beijing lockdowns. I mean, it just wipes off this whole idea that China is going to lower restrictions.
But do you think like this is going to be long lasting? Like, I know it's been insanely long so far, but you guys don't see like an end around the corner anytime soon?
I heard from someone in the Discord, like don't quote me on this, but someone in the Discord told me that the vaccines. Someone told me that the vaccines that they shipped to China didn't work or something, and that's why. And there's these new numbers of the highest COVID, whatever. But I don't quite. I gotta look more into what those numbers mean because you could have a whole bunch of people with COVID that isn't serious, because the virus is burning out. So it's more complicated than just saying like, oh, a bunch of people have COVID now because there's so many other factors. It's how many of them are vaccinated. How
The issue with the vaccines
now.
was that their in-country vaccines had an efficacy rate of like 60 to 70%, which is what I mentioned earlier. A buddy of mine, he's in Malaysia, and he was saying that once they got vaccinated, maybe because Big China told them the vaccines were good, right? And they didn't know the 60, 70%. I don't know the reason, but once people got vaccinated, they were like, I am good to go and just out and about, right? So that obviously created like the future waves, or going back in time. But yeah, so that was like half the reason why they kept getting waves of COVID, because people were doing what Americans were doing and what most of the rest of the world was doing, saying I'm vaccinated, so I'm good to go. But again, China didn't have the best vaccinations. So that's probably just continue to happen.
Did they really just go out and about like you say? Or I thought they haven't, they've kept some sort of minimal amount of lockdowns over there. Like
yeah, minimal. I mean, So it's like it's China. You know what I mean? They went to full lockdown, right? So like if you looked at one guy, he posted, I don't know if it was here, maybe it was here, but posted some DD and said, look at China's heat map and look at the big cities during COVID, and the heat level in the cities was just gone, and it meant that nobody was out. So you go from like 0 people going out and about to 50% of the population. That's massive. That's a much bigger difference than the US. But so you go from that, any increase is going to be a big increase, and now they're at what, like minimal lockdown. So what, maybe like 10-20% of people aren't going out. That's still a massive increase.
So the Chinese lockdown, I've seen some scientific data on this. It apparently was so profound that we rolled back climate change by 2 years. When the whole lockdown popped off, like the Earth was so clean when everybody started going back out that we rolled back 2 years worth of climate change.
I'm sure we already added that back.
Oh yeah, no, by leaps and bounds. There was in Los Angeles, there was some dude's apartment that you could actually see the mountaintop, like off in the distance, and it's the first time in like 20 years he's been able to see that.
Global warming, huh?
I'm saying.
Yeah, that whole the world is healing kind of stuff. People could actually see the bottom of the Boston Harbor.
And so when this was all happening, I thought the sentiment was like, oh, everyone's going to see, the mountains they haven't seen in 20 years, and they're going to start really advocating for more climate change stuff. But I haven't really seen that come to fruition. Yeah.
They went back to Tinder and Grindr and started smoking Delta 8.
And so, like, I don't know. I was thinking that stocks, like green related stocks, would do well, but
I was trying to find a state so I can show her these mountains.
I think we got to reform our zombie apocalypse expectations to incredible natural beauty and zombies.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Scald, I fully intend to sit on the mountaintop somewhere with one of you guys as we're eaten by zombies and enjoy the view.
Now that you met up on Grindr?
Yeah.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
There's not. I keep telling people that straight people have to be okay with gay people now because there's plenty of straight people making money on Grindr.
Hey, if I were gay, I would make love with all of you.
Hey guys, are porn conversations welcome here?
Porn.
If I was gay,
talk hardcore porn.
Like anal?
No, I was going to say who has the best bushy bush.
What?
What?
Okay. What? These talks need to remain safe for work, please.
Wait. Did he just say bougie bush?
Bush.
Yeah.
Bush.
I enjoy the occasional
Bushy
bush.
vagina.
This is good. I'm glad we keep these
There's
talks
ladies here.
Oh, the mighty
I
boo.
think he's trying to compliment T
You
Prince.
can ask us who
Me
has
too.
the
Me too.
bushiest dick. I don't know.
All right, gentlemen.
Back to plays, I guess.
Yeah. Does anybody have any plays for today that they're actually
who's
going to
trading?
make moves on?
It's after playtime. Now is stupid time.
That exactly.
No,
Yeah, the
no.
place has
speaking
been
of
the last
stupid
12
time-
minutes, and now I'm letting them ride.
Speaking of stupid time, so come Monday when we no longer have our market cap limit, please, for the love of all things holy, if you're going to talk about one of these previously taboo stocks, these micro caps, please don't just be shilling whatever stock you want to go
Yeah,
up so you can do your pump and dump.
I really don't know if that's the best idea. That to me just sounds very dangerous.
Well, I mean, people said that it was very dangerous to give us WallStreetBets a talk a year ago, and it turned out okay. We're somewhat civilized, except for that guy talking about bushy bush.
We're gonna see a lot of shit.
Bearish.
We're gonna see a lot of shit fly.
The good thing
Yeah,
is,
I am
in the Reddit talk format, you get to see people actually rebut against them. So if someone's spouting off some dumb stuff about some microcap, you can just be like, nah, your thing is retarded.
I'm about to just go find a bunch of microcaps and put $50 in each of them.
Oh, I'm kind of scared now.
How about this? How about just everyone here just, be savvy enough to not buy any of the fucking microcaps that people pump, despite the
No, I'm
fact
gonna
we're
buy them
allowing
now,
them
and then when
to talk
people
about
decide to pump them, then I can sell.
or do that.
I'm
just
usually
kidding.
pretty
We
good
don't
at that.
want to come here and do that. We want to invest in quality companies, guys.
Hey, I got some trades. I already made them, but I am either break even or losing a bit. So I'll just throw them out there since I'm not up on them. Pretend they're new trades. AEHR, Air Test Systems company. I think we mentioned them. I don't know before. Very overvalued semiconductor chip stock. They were growing like crazy, but they have not revised their guidance. Not that I'm aware of. Downward. They merged with the SPAC, and the valuation is insane. Their business seems to be going strong, but if the markets move down a leg or two, this stock is surely. I mean, it's got a lot of room to come down. So this is kind of a. I want leverage to the downside. I want markets to go down. Therefore, this stock price will drop. So I have puts strike 12.5 and strike 15 expiring March. I want time for those. I kind of mentioned this last week, but I don't think I mentioned specific play. So that's what I'm looking at. AEHR, March puts, strike 12.5, strike 15.
I'm looking at them right now.
Me too.
Those are pretty far out there. Are you buying anything closer dated on them, or March is your closest date?
I want March. I mean, I'm essentially trying to predict a 10 to 20% drop in the markets. So I'm not going to say like, oh, that's going to happen by next week. I'm not going to. I don't make trades like that.
That's fair.
So yeah, I'm shorting the valuation, not the business. So that's why it's kind of
Holy shit.
If it was the business, I would go big, big balls.
This P ratio of 80.
Yeah, the valuation's insane.
What in the fuck?
Even from a technicals perspective, I'm sure you astrologists, you could agree that that's probably a good play for you.
Well, I think when you first brought it up, the PE ratio was like in the high 60s. It's gotten worse.
What the fuck?
This is bad.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
I think I'm down like 5%, so you'll get better entry than I got.
See, he sounds so sad when he says that. He's like, "Oh, you guys will get a better entry than me."
No, I'm sorry. I'll say that again. I'm down about 5%, so you guys will get better entry than I got. Is that better opinion?
Much better.
I thought hurricane season was over.
Andrew, we took some good stuff in.
Apparently, we got a big storm rolling in on the East Coast here in the next couple days.
Oh, that was a Pineapple Express reference, by the way. But yes,
No, I
didn't know
caught
we
it.
had a big storm. Yeah, we got a big
So
storm.
what's the
coming in.
storm called? I have no idea what they're naming this one.
I thought you just said it was called Pineapple
Hurricane
Express.
Ligma.
That'd be a dope name for a storm. Pineapple Express.
That'd be good. Or Hurricane Opinion, so we can have another reason to hate opinion.
I also hate hurricanes, by the way.
But hurricanes wipe out veterans.
Opinion,
in
you know what a
Florida.
hurricane is up in Canada?
They did this year if they were in like what was it, Nova Scotia?
Oh, sorry, I was just Googling what a hurricane is. My bad.
Oh, reminder, just in case, Big Lots guy with the Big Lots mom, if you're in the audience.
I was shorting the shit out of Big Lots way back when.
Yeah, we got their earnings will be next week, December 1st, before market open. So Big Lots guy, if you're there, and I sent him a message, so hopefully he remembers. But yeah, we plan to have Big Lots mom on for that call, for that pre-market talk, so she can share her thoughts with us about the earnings. If anyone else has a mother, that shops somewhere that likes a company and you want to bring her on, and
Wait, was he
preferably
saying
she doesn't
was he
really
saying
know
Big
shit
Lots?
about stocks or finance, then we can bring your mother on.
Was he saying Big Lots was going to go up?
I was talking about how it's short Big Lots, and I think they're gonna have trouble. And then he said his mother does a lot of shopping at Big Lots,
Oh,
so we're
dude,
like,
no,
hey,
Big
let's get
Lots has
another
been a
perspective. Let's
nosedive.
get a bull's perspective. So she
Yeah,
came up and
sure. Bull's perspective. It sounds good, but no, that's going down the fucking drain.
yeah, no. We just want, it's not just, hey, you only agree with me and that's that. We just
No,
want,
I agree. I need a bull case to, make myself feel better about my bear.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is we want to talk to everyone's mothers. That's what we want to do here.
What if my mom's in jail?
But we can probably call her in. Right? We can probably figure that out. Well, opinion, you know how to smuggle phones?
Call.
I swear to God, I'll set it up. That's not shitting you. I will fuck with that woman so hard. You guys will like.
I want to know.
Dude, that'd be a Wall Street Bets first.
Hands down. I'll set that shit up tomorrow.
Sorry, what's the Wall Street Bets first? Oh,
having a call from someone in jail.
Oh God! All right, whoever said is trying to change the subject. Let's go to you.
I was going to just bring up that curate retail that Burry got into, and I haven't looked into it too much, but it is the home shopping network essentially. One thing I was theorizing is the only ones with money would be old women still alive, older women. Their lifestyles probably haven't changed much given a recession. They had really low sales last year, and I wonder if they have a pop in sales and the price. I just wonder if anyone has looked at it with him buying it and a pop in sales next quarter or something. Would that lead to a big rush?
I got another Burry play after someone comments on what he's talking about.
I mean, they're kind of like tanked, but you might think that market could have some energy when every other market is down.
So has anybody recently looked at Geo Group? It's another company that Michael Burry's super invested in, and he was buying it up. It's like the one that he was reporting on his 13F, most recent 13F that he actually bought more of. And I'm not getting into politics, but if a certain person gets elected as president coming in 2024, I think Geo Group could potentially have a massive upside. It's a prison company.
Coming to you live from a rural Tennessee Walmart, and it is dead as hell in here compared to the last few days.
Where you at in my neck of the woods?
I'm in East Tennessee, about an hour away from Knoxville.
Holy shit! Yeah, you're at our Walmart, bro.
One aspect I noticed about Geo, I've been following that company as well, is there's been a big push to release prisoners out on parole. And one of the things that they're doing is Geo manufactures ankle bracelets at one of their facilities, which I'm sure they use some really cheap labor to get that done. And that they have a really high margin on those parolees.
That's what I was thinking too. So okay, I like this. We need a bear case though.
And they've also restructured a lot of their debt like this year and paid down quite a bit.
Bear case.
Who was it? Latter Day, was that you in Tennessee?
What was that?
Was that you in Tennessee Latter Day?
Correct.
Cool.
Skull, did you just start up Confused Money while you're on this call?
Sinner.
Wow.
Well, before we go into the bear case for these prisons, because I've thought about this, I've sat and meditated. I think because Michael Burry can't short the education system, he's going along on the prison system. I think that the COVID really messed up the youth, and they're going to be pumping these kids out with strange expectations and lowered skills. Also because they are reducing the number of prisons, and the reason why they're letting prisoners out more is because they're full. They're getting full.
It's just so odd to me that as he's selling off massive amounts of like positions in his portfolio, like closing out, just basically saying on Twitter, imminent crash is coming, yada yada yada, but he's still picking up this Geo Group stock. He still just keeps adding to it. Now it's actually probably at a point where he's like in the positive, I'm assuming. I mean, if he's been picking up as much as it shows.
Yeah. So like he's YOLO'd into this stuff. Like his
Massive
portfolio
position.
is so imbalanced towards it long. He knows something that we don't.
One thing I heard about that is you have to remember, like, his portfolio was $2 billion, and now it's something like just a small percentage, right? So
yes,
he's mostly cash.
Isn't it under 100 billion?
It's a small gamble for him, but one thing I was theorizing
No, I'm
is
saying like his whole position, like what he actually has invested is like very, very small in terms of like.
Yeah,
like,
that's what he's saying. Yeah. It's small. That's a good point. I brought that up a while back, but people just kept saying, "Oh, but look, but yeah, it's not a lot of money." The guy's like mostly retired at this point.
Right.
the reason I like it is they have the ability to access really cheap labor, and that's never going away. Prisoners having to work. They have a lot of tiny businesses that they're making ankle bracelets and so on. Also, one thing I was theorizing is the more political unrest, the more protests also leads to more imprisonment too. It's not just criminals; it's political dissidents too get arrested, and they have really high requirements. Like, think of how much money they would be making holding a Julian Assange or somebody like in maximum security in the U.S. It would be pretty good profit, I would think.
So I don't know about the political unrest thing because during riots, not a lot of people get arrested. Really, like a lot of people get away with doing crime. It's mostly like the slow drip in of violent criminals because the police infrastructure doesn't have what it takes to like round up a massive group of people all at once.
Yeah, I see what you mean. That might be the case. The other thing for massive amount of people would be immigrants. Like they're getting pushed up from South America into the lower United States, and that problem is only going to get worse as more land is taken from them down in South America. Like, it pushes people up into here. So I think housing them in detention centers, holding them in detention centers in other places around the U.S., I think that's going to become a booming business.
So I
used to work at a halfway house, and during COVID, they released a bunch of federal inmates to us. And the way we slapped on ankle monitors on them, they're cheap products, their system's easy to use. Just any entry level job like me could run them. So yeah, definitely.
And I think that, late employment wise, they probably have a pretty good market for jobs. They probably have pretty good paying jobs and low skilled, high paying guard jobs.
All right, I got other plays I want to talk about, if I may. Long prison stocks is what I'm hearing. But does anyone follow Stanley Druckenmiller, the Duquesne Fund, the Duquesne family office?
Ooh.
So I follow the funds, the big funds, at least the ones I think are good. Stanley Druckenmiller, for those who don't know, he's been doing this for over 40 years. He's one of the best hedge fund managers in history, and he's called just about every single bubble. He's very bearish on the markets overall right now. And if he buys a stock, I'm at least taking a look. And sometimes I'm just like, you know what? I don't see what he sees, but I'm just going to build a small position. One of those examples is Coupang, CPNG. Some of you might know Coupang, but they are e-commerce company based out of South Korea. And I think I entered around $11 a share, and then I bought some calls expiring 2024. They're doing very well. I think they're on the road to profitability, and he didn't add this recent quarter, but he did buy at a high price, something like close to 40 is his average price, and the stock's trading at about 20 right now. But it is by far his biggest position. It's over 18% of his portfolio, probably bigger now since the price has come up a good deal. So Coupang is interesting. Yeah, it's the e-commerce in South Korea, on the road to profitability, scaling even through all this craziness. So and I think he tends to have at least say like a 2-year time horizon. So I think he's looking for long-term growth there.
Hey, opinion.
Hello.
You're like emotional, so you'd probably want to know that Latter Day and I actually live in the same town.
Oh.
Yeah. So, what are the fucking chances, right? Like, I showed up randomly. He showed up randomly. We've both been in this chat for like, I don't know, 4 months now, something like that. Fucking just chatting every day. Sure enough, bro is working when he mentioned the Walmart, he's working at the Walmart down the road from my house.
Go meet up and have sandwich. No, go meet
Nah.
up and have Wendy's. Meet up at your local Wendy's.
I ain't trying to get fucking stabbed. I don't trust the guy. We're gonna have to have a talk.
He's no
You guys
stab.
have the
No
grinder
stabber.
app?
There you go.
Hey, good call. Let's see if he's got a profile.
You know,
Listen,
it's funny you tell Opinion because he likes, the emotional stuff. Opinion knows that we recently discovered that based on an analysis of our activity on Reddit, I am more wholesome than Opinion. That's right. You heard it. You heard that right, folks.
bull.
I am more
It's
wholesome
bull.
than Opinion.
Don't believe the lies.
We have the studies. Do you want me to share the studies, Opinion?
Now,
I will.
Moose, is that spelled with a W or without?
That's a good one. That was a good one. I give you that one. Also, I'm like, out of all the people we tested, I'm the smartest. That's what the studies say. I'll share them. Opinion, I will. I'll make all.
We tested like 3 people.
No, I tested more than that. And Simple was the dumbest.
Oh, that's just life.
You said that while he's not here.
Yeah, hey, he can be here. And we told him, we shared the studies with him, and he never responded. I think he was very sad.
He sounds sad lately. I'm a little worried about it.
It's the holidays. It makes everyone sad.
Yeah, Simple is sad when everyone else is happy.
I don't think they have holidays in Russia. I mean, Croatia.
It's all Russia.
That was a slip up.
They just have more shit talk. Hey, some other stocks I'm looking at from the old Duquesne fund, Stanley Druckenmiller. He increased his Eli Lilly position by 63% last quarter. But he's got he's got a really good entry price compared to where it's at now. So Eli Lilly, that's LLY. I'll be looking at that. If it comes down, that thing has been on a tear. I think it started the year at around 270, 275, and now it's at 364, 363. So that thing has just been defying the markets. He also built up a 5.8% position in Amazon on the dip. So that's pretty interesting. Some of the stocks I find interesting that he just built up pretty good sized positions in are Datadog, that's DDOG. Let's see, Workday, which is a bit odd to me. That's WDAY. It's odd because I thought they were still overvalued. And Meta, he's got a new position in Meta. So just interesting plays by him.
That's Duquesne with a Q, right? Is that how they spell their name?
That's correct. DUQUESNE. Duquesne Family Office. You go to wellwisdom.com and look it up. And the guy is Stanley Druckenmiller. For those of you that know the fund managers, like he's one of the greats. So yeah.
Bought some Shopify recently too, which is they had a pretty big drop off.
Duquesne bought Shopify? I don't see that.
Oh, I thought That was one of his new positions. Maybe I'm reading it wrong.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Yeah, but 0.75% position of his portfolio. Yeah, that's a new one. He could be positioning for growth and just, being a price taker at these levels. Maybe the markets go down further, but
I mean, it sounds like he with the Korean and with Shopify, it sounds like he's going for e-commerce other than Amazon, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, he has Amazon too. Big position in Amazon. So
Shopify makes me sick.
I mean, I wouldn't hate someone that said, I've been in cash, I wound my portfolio down. Sure, maybe the markets go a little bit lower, but if I invest in growth at these levels, I'm going to get a pretty good price over the long term. And he's definitely a long-term guy. There's a lot of noise coming from you. I don't know what's going on there.
My ears.
There was a company that I wanted to bring up in case it's quiet. It's called TransDigm, and they are in the aerospace industry. They're really highly leveraged, but they have 90% of their revenues come from proprietary parts that only they make. I think they have a very long history of good capital management, given their leverage, and their price continues to go up. But I have a hard time looking at this company and making sense of it because it's so highly leveraged. TDG.
Yeah, they own some pretty key components, but that's not going to last forever, man. They're not that innovative, is what I would say.
But their strategy is acquiring key components. So they're always looking to kind of get the next key component that they can control.
Do they spend a lot of money on those acquisitions?
A ton.
Okay, then that's not a good thing right now. If interest rates are really high, it's going to cost them even more money to make those acquisitions. So if they're highly acquisitive, I would want to know how the core business is doing. Like, what can the core business do without making future acquisitions? If all the growth is driven by acquisitions, then you kind of have to back that out because that's a play on management.
Okay, look for organic growth, excluding M&As.
Yeah, just try to carve out the M&A, look at the core business and imagine an environment, an economic environment where acquisitions are just not really in the cards, and they have all that debt and they have to focus on reducing that debt and perhaps even divesting some of their, past acquisitions. So if the value still looks good, then if you can just hammer the company down, right, and just penalize them, and it still looks good, then great. But if it starts to look really bad, then I would stay away personally. I don't really want too many companies that are too highly dependent on growth and already have a lot of debt. You can find so many companies right now that are not in that same position. They can have growth, they don't have a lot of debt, and the stock prices are at reasonable levels. So yeah, it's just kind of easy pickings to me right now. I mean, sure, the markets might go down some more, but overall, there are plenty of stocks trading at good values right now.
Aerospace is pretty risky right now. It's a highly leveraged sector overall.
I guess going back to stimulus or all the just the war games going on, that's going to drive a lot of repairing and upgrading and etc.
So I'm pretty sure most of TPMG's proprietary stuff is really more for the commercial aspect. I could be wrong, but I think the vast majority of it is commercial.
I think their costs are going up, and I think that people keep talking about costs or sales relating to war, military equipment, aerospace, so on and so forth. You're talking about it. People talk about it as if like the war in the Russia-Ukraine war just started yesterday. I mean that's been a thing, and a lot of countries have been like ramping up purchases of military equipment. So I think you probably had a rush, right, for like maybe 6 months, but at this point, like you're probably just going to look at slower earnings growth going forward for a lot of these companies. And I don't think they're going to keep investing heavily. I think it was a good scare. They probably loaded up on military equipment, at least the countries with money. And going forward, basically all you have is like Russia's just looking weaker like every week, So not that the threat is just going to go away, but the threat does seem to be dwindling. And at some point, it's just going to be, okay, what if Putin starts nuclear war versus like, oh, he has a military force and we need one too. Like, I think
Yeah, I
that
agree with
luster
that.
is kind of disappearing.
Yeah.
Those are good points. I was thinking it from the perspective of manufacturing. Like it's manufacturing in America. If the federal government is going to be investing in manufacturing, they're going to be pushing towards military equipment because it's in every jurisdiction, in every riding in the Senate. It's also a good bang for their buck in the sense that they're going to need the military to squell a lot of the uprisings, like we just heard about Brazil today. Ukraine is likely to continue for a while. You've got Iran scaring China. Like all that stuff is just going to drive up the need to invest more. And that's really what is important. It's not so much we need it because we're defending someone. We just need to make more of it and sell more of it. I guess I look at it as like government is the only customer of the war
Honestly,
industry.
you're just saying the opposite of what I'm saying. So like I'm saying costs are going up. I think sales are not going to keep increasing at the rate that they were. I think stock prices are reflecting that. But now I think you're going to have a bit of an oversupply. That's what I'm saying. And that's what I'm seeing in the industry. Look what happened to semiconductors and the auto industry. And you have so many cars and can't get rid of them. That's what I'm seeing happening in military defense. So sure, there's still going to be demand, but if demand is growing like moderately or slightly, but supply has ramped up big time, then that's not good for the industry. That's what I'm saying. So I'm not saying that demand is just going to go away or anything. It's supply.
I see. Okay.
And cost.
Okay, I'll look at it from that perspective and see what I can find from the supply side.
And value, and the fact that they're highly acquisitive and their debt. So that's why I'm just like, I'm past done looking at that stock just personally. And again, I think there are a lot of stocks that you don't have any of those issues and the stock prices are way better. I mean, we could talk about other stocks that I think are good, or if you want to discuss them, or if anybody else has other stocks, potential value plays, whatever.
How much are you down on your AEHR position now?
Let me look.
That is a cold question.
I don't.
But no, I'm curious because
it doesn't
now I'm
hurt my
looking at
feelings.
it. It's going even higher, and I'm looking at it just going, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I'm down 10%, but my puts expire March. Like
I'm trying to. Oh no, I know that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm ready to buy more.
Yeah, honestly, it's like, I mean, always position size, right? I'm not YOLOing into these, so I have positions that I'm like, I thought those were good plays, and I'm down like 70, 80%, and I'm like, all right, hey, that's how it goes, and then I just have to reassess, right? But AHR, I think the biggest risk to AHR to that play is that stock. When a stock price has strong momentum, that momentum tends to continue. That's like the part of short sellers 101, right? So that's why they say not to short valuation, but to short the business. So in a big way, I am shorting the valuation. However, I do expect that to change as the company issues new guidance
Right,
and
as time
says,
goes on.
yeah,
Right.
our fantastic growth period, we think that's done, right? So I do expect that to change, and then suddenly it'll turn into, all right, now the business is weak. Now I'm shorting the business, but I want to get ahead of that. And then hopefully, massive cherry on top is the markets do move down a good like 10, 15, maybe even 20%. And then a stock like AHR just nosedives because of the valuation,
Yep.
because the stocks that are terribly overvalued, those are the ones that nosedive when the markets move down. I mean, the evidence is for that is all over the place over the past year.
I'm 100% with you.
Speaking of YOLOs, I'm thinking about I just locked in some Tesla puts just because of the recalls in China. So what do you guys think?
Hey guys, good morning. Hey Luz, I appreciate you today, man. You are on fire. You know, you're right on your game today.
Hang on, does anybody have?
Hold up.
Just hang on a second. Does anybody have thoughts on Tesla?
The thing about Tesla puts, like I've seen those sort of recalls before. They haven't really moved the stock, to be honest, from what I've seen.
I think a lot of the downward momentum on Tesla was due to Elon selling out a lot of positions to purchase Twitter.
Tesla puts are pretty popular, but I haven't heard the basis of getting Tesla puts on a recall.
Also, I guess from a technicals perspective, Tesla stock does tend to have like pretty good movements up and down. It does tend to trend here and there. So what I see, but it tends to break those trends at some point, right? So what I see is you've had a big downward trend. I mean, it went from what recently like 320 something like that, and now it bottomed at what was it 165. So that's literally like a 48% decrease in the stock price. So just from a technicals perspective and seeing this recent bounce, it might be getting ready to move back up and to start another little bullish trend. So combine that with the fact that you had a lot of bad news, and like a ton of bad news for the company. Now you have analysts saying Tesla's a value stock, which I never thought I would hear and honestly consider. Like, okay, wait a second, like maybe it is approaching that territory. So I would be I don't know, like I would almost say just look at the stock price, how much has it fallen, and think about like, do I still want to buy puts after the stock price has fallen 48% from recent highs, literally like 2 months ago actually.
Okay, thank you.
I got a question. Are any of you familiar with the Canadian banking sector?
Pinion regularly robs Canadian banks.
I get robbed regularly by the Canadian banks. Why? What's up?
So I was thinking, they have earnings for the first and second. I was thinking of getting puts for the 16th of December. I'm just I can't really find numbers on mortgages for this quarter or anything. So I've been I've just been thinking about it all yesterday.
Well, I mean, that's what they're going to provide to you at earnings, the mortgages for the quarter. But yeah, I think there should be a ton of data on how the Canadian markets, housing markets perform. I think they release it monthly, but it's sometimes split up by what do they call them? Like the housing areas, like the different retail hovels. I don't know. They carve out their own neighborhoods or whatever. So yeah, you can associations, the retailer association, sorry. And so you can take a look at that to kind of look at mortgage data, I guess. I think that's going to be biased though.
Okay, gotcha.
I don't know. Well, Luce, what do you use in the US?
Sorry, what do I use for what?
Mortgage, well, anything real estate. Where do you go to look at data?
There are a couple sources. Honestly, I don't even look at real estate data anymore. I can't even remember the websites. Someone knows. There are a few big websites. I simply can't remember the names of them.
But I'm not sure if mortgage activity is what's going to drive banks to like do well or not. I think that's all kind of like played out, and at this point, everyone knows it's a small part of their business.
If you pretend to buy a house and talk to a realtor and ask them to set you up with their MLS, some of them won't do it. Some of them will give you an interface into the MLS. Some of them will just actually give you access to the MLS. What you want is to find the one that will give you access to the MLS, because that's like the back end for them. And if you can peruse that, you'll get a really good idea of like what any market is doing, like your local market or even the national market.
Yeah, I think they can also lose their license for doing that.
I mean, listen, small town Tennessee, man.
Fair enough.
So I might have stumbled across a play. It's the Curtis Wright Corporation. CW is the ticker. I'm not sure if it's the right company, but let me see if I can find this article again. I came back.
Well, I wanted to say hydraulic. You never got a chance to say what you were going to say.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're there, hydraulic.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm sorry. I was away from the phone. I was just on my mic. In regard to that, I hate to do this because I'm basically reverting back on the topic. But in with the defensive stock, remember that NATO is waiting for Sweden and Finland to join NATO. So basically, the border length is going to be extended. Even though you're saying that it's factored in, the effect on those stocks, I don't think it's really factored in completely, because not only they're trying to catch up with the production on the stocks, but also on their weapon stocks, but also on their sorry, I had to run. God damn it. But also on what they had to supply to Sweden and Finland. That's it. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
No worries.
Should we? Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I was apologizing for interrupting him.
No worries.
No problem. Don't worry.
I can talk about Curtis Wright whenever you guys are ready.
Let's hear it.
So I came back. I muted you guys for a minute. I left the chat. I came back. I had a news pop up from Google. I follow, I kind of like peruse defense and articles and stuff. And so it's talking about this thing. It's called a Q-RIP. It's apparently about the size of a football, and it costs $230,000. And I guess it records flight data on F-35s. But the one that they were using previously, I think, was like 25 million or something like that. And so the price difference is huge, and they just flew, I think, their first flight. And so I was trying to figure out the company that makes the Q-RIP, and what I came up with was the Curtis Wright Corporation. And the ticker that I found is CW, but I don't know if that's correct. Can anybody confirm that?
Yeah, I see Kurt's right. CW. I Curtis Wright.
Yes, I don't know anything about this, but I just, that's a pretty big deal, I think, if it's going to work out. Stumble upon that technology. The device was called the Q-RIP. Q, Queef, I don't know. RIP.
Man, some of these stocks, they've been on a tear, man. Like CW, they were just at 135 like 2 months ago. Now they're at 178.
Yeah, well, I mean, if that's a thing, it may continue to go up. It's wartime, though, right? Like, we're doing all the shit because of Ukraine and Russia, and so we're putting money into this stuff.
Yeah, I'm worried that we get some random news comes out about the war and says like, oh, Russia it wants to do talks and Russia's retreating back to this area, whatever. Not that it's like over, but just some headline coming out and making these aerospace companies, the stock prices just drop like 10% just because of the freaking headline. You know what I mean? Like, not saying that will happen, but I think that's where prices are right now. Like, I think they're going to be very more sensitive to we'll call them downside headlines, downside risk, than upside risk. That's how I see aerospace. More downside risk than upside risk, to be honest.
Well, thank you for the insight.
Yeah, same.
But yeah, again, maybe I don't know. Maybe it's like 55% chance downside, 45% upside. You know. So, but that's honestly that's how I look at all trades, all stocks. But I just see it leaning a little bit more to the downside. Imagine we had like some surprise headline that said like, oh, you know, guess what? Putin's given up, or somebody poured rat poison in Putin's tvorog, you know, his Russian soup, you know. So versus like Russia's advancing and pushing forward, or it might attack Poland or something like that. Then maybe these military defense stocks pop like a few percent, right? But it's not going to be like, you know, I mean, look at February for a lot of these, and since then they've gone up like 50%. So it's just how much more do you think they'll go up? I guess is my basic question versus all the value stocks in the market right now. So it's just relative opportunity.
Well, that's where my head goes, like where we think like, okay, investments going into those types of industries, like as the US becomes more protective. That's why the price has gone up. But that's not this. I mean, I have nothing to base it on. It's just my thought.
That's the question. Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. No, I just want to mention that the Russia-Ukraine war was even a big marketing campaign for U.S. weapons. So don't forget that.
Here's my overall. I'll just give this. Not that we have to shift topics, but I'll just say this one last comment. Then I'm probably gonna go. But there are so many value stocks in other industries, in other sectors, that are trading at damn good values that still have growth, that can continue to grow no matter what happens, right? I mean, look at cybersecurity. Why not look at cybersecurity right now? There's some decent values there, Palo Alto. So that's all I'm saying. Like, you know, pick your aerospace, you know, military defense stocks, great, and maybe they go up and you know, and you do well. But the opportunity cost, the way I see it, in looking at multiples valuation and looking at continued growth, opportunity cost is so high right now. So sure, make your plays, military defense, but I think y'all should be allocating like 90% of your time looking at other industries or sectors. That's all I'll say. Not that they're bad plays, but I just think there's really high opportunity cost, and the military defense plays, it's a little played out. That's it.
Hello, Gabe. How are you guys today?
Oh shit, Simple's here.
Yeah, you heard us talking military.
Just because we talk about the military doesn't mean we don't hold ground or stuff.
Speaking of other growth in other sectors, Victoria's Secret has just been like ripping. Same with Macy's.
I mean, I don't think Victoria's Secret can die.
I guess if y'all were wondering what sectors, industries I'm looking at, I think communications. I think there's some decent plays there. I like Google right now. If you asked me when Meta was at like low 90s, I would have said Meta. But now I think in terms of stock price movement, I like Google a bit more than Meta. I think they're damn good to go in the long term. I don't get why Google's being beat up the way they are, because it's still a high growth company, and the valuation's looking great. So I think there are a few other picks in the communications sector, since the communications sector it got destroyed this year. So I think institutional money will start flowing back into that sector, and they'll start increasing their exposure to communications, and that'll, you know, the tide will make all ships will rise with the tide there. And then I think energy is, relatively speaking, and specific to free cash flow, energy, specifically oil, is the safest sector in the market right now. So you make good oil plays, look for valuation, look for high free cash flow and low debt, which there are many. And I think oil's looking really good.
Didn't they just put a cap on oil? They just cap the price of oil, or are you talking about like oil companies?
I'm talking about stocks, oil stocks. I'm not sure what you're asking.
Nothing.
Like
just heard that they're
BP or Exxon stocks you talking about, or like the drilling companies?
I like the drilling companies, and those are kind of the way I see it is oil. Okay, we go into a recession, oil prices take a hit, right? But look at where free cash flow levels are. Like this again, I'm going to emphasize free cash flow. Look at where free cash flow levels are. Look at free cash flow yield or free cash flow divided by enterprise value, and you have so many oil stocks that have at least 10%. And right now the S&P average is like not even 4%. So it's trading well above like average free cash flow levels. And I think it's because the markets are still getting used to the idea that oil is back and making money again. And they had to get so freaking lean after the past, like 7-8 years since 2014. They had to get so lean with their costs that they got way better, including like hydraulic fracturing. They got way better at pumping oil and increasing their margins. So there's so many companies like that that are just making ridiculous amounts of money at current oil prices. So even if oil prices pull back, that free cash flow yield is still going to be double digits for a lot of these companies. So, and free cash flow yield simply means you will have to wait less a lesser amount of time to get your return on investment than other stocks. If you had to think of it percentile, maybe oil stocks are trading like 90th percentile in terms of free cash flow yields. So if you're like a return on investment type of person, then you're definitely oil stocks are probably at the top of your list. And surely there's downside risk and surely there'll be some chop, but just think, okay, at what level are these oil stocks not attractive? It's probably when oil prices drop below 70. That's when they start to become less attractive. But then you got to be forward looking and say, okay, sure, we got a recession coming up, but as we manage through that recession, now analysts are predicting, economists are predicting that the Fed will pivot by the end of 2023, as in they'll start to lower interest rates by that time. Then what's going to happen to oil? And all the economies are reopening. COVID will probably not be as big of an issue as it is today. Who knows, right? But that could be big as the world economies start to pivot, end of 2023, maybe 2024. So perhaps some short-term pain, but the free cash flow yield makes me think, whatever, go ahead, let the stock prices fall a bit. They're still making cash flow out the ass, and a lot of them are paying damn good dividends. So that's how I see oil.
So I got to look into it more, but it looks like they're talking about putting price caps on oil, which should hurt the industry. I think I've been looking into energy quite a bit, and I haven't put all my energy into it, but I hope somebody does to find a solar company that is cheap to make and sells to America for the grid instability. The White House press release had a grid instability warning go out, so they started ordering a bunch of solar panels. There's a way to make money here, and somebody brought up Jinko Solar, but they're not valid because they have forced labor. And then liquid natural gas, that's something that I'm playing. I'm playing the shipping companies for the liquid natural gas.
So if I may, I just bought a house. It's a 2-story house. It's actually gigantic. It's 4,500 square feet. It's basically like 2 houses, right? What I've found by owning this house going into the winter is that natural gas is far more expensive than it used to be. And my bill is fucking stupid. And so the electricity is also stupid because this house is so big. So what am I looking at? 100% I'm looking for cheap but reliable solar panels and a solar setup and that whole thing, because that's going to offset a lot of my costs, especially when I'm talking about heat. Like I got to find some other way to do it.
Well, yeah, like over here on the West Coast, we got this thing called PG&E. And PG&E is this huge electric company that is like rotting and falling apart. And it's setting fires, and they have to pass. They're setting fires. They're getting sued. They have to pass on all this cost onto the customer. They've raised their rates something ridiculous, like 30% or something. It's wild. So a lot of people are putting solar panels on their house because the rates on the solar, well, the way that the company structures it is that they'll put the solar panels up on your house, and then you pay them the electric bill at like a 2% rate increase each year as opposed to 30. And they insure the panels, they insure your roof, and they take the extra power that's made and put it back into the grid, and then that's how they make their money.
I'm trying to do that. Where do I do that? Sign me up.
Yeah, I was, god damn, I'm hoping somebody
Research
finds
your
it.
local solar installer companies. Check on your local subreddit for wherever you live.
I'd also,
People
But of
talk
course
about
they're
it.
getting their panels from China. Of course they're getting their panels
Hey,
from China.
if I may though, for real, I also live in the Tennessee Valley, which I feel like for my cost to be what it is in the Tennessee Valley for both electricity and natural gas is a little bit extraordinary given the history of the TVA and how much this shit has traditionally cost for like 6 fucking decades now. It's crazy.
Natural gas usually always costs more for heating. Electric heat pumps are generally more efficient unless it's like
Both.
negative something degrees.
I swear to God, my gas bill and my electricity bill are exactly the same. I'm looking at like $600 a month between the two of them.
Well, that's what happens when the third largest producer gets cut off.
Hey, real quick, oil, the price cap. Are you talking about the price cap on Russian oil?
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, it's oil. I don't know. I have to look into it.
Anywhere else?
I have to look into it. Is
Yeah.
it just on Russian oil?
It's just on Russian oil because of the invasion.
Yeah, and it's expected to not have any significance at all. Just
And
because,
they've already talked about making it more lenient than what they had planned before, because otherwise Europe is going to be cold and dark for the rest of the winter.
yeah, I think it's highly political. I think that's the big risk to oil prices right now is politics. It's political headlines. OPEC says, "Oh, we're thinking about increasing production." Markets freak out. Oil falls 5%, and then you read between the lines. They're like, "We're only thinking about doing this if Russia cuts production." So it's like that's literally what happened. What was it, last week or early this week? And I was like, "What
Yeah,
the
I
hell's
haven't-
wrong with you people?" So
I haven't
And
looked
it's
into
my-
in between. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's my understanding that it's really only the G7 that is agreeing to this price cap on Russian oil. Like China and everyone else is basically ignoring it, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, like I haven't read between the lines or whatever, but it would seem that they want to put a price cap on there so they can undercut Russia. But like then there's these other conflicting things saying that they're going to cap the price of Russian oil, and why Russia's not going to follow suit with that.
It's only for the countries that are part of the EU and that are or NATO that are using Russian oil. It's other countries don't care what the EU says or what the US says.
Hey, opinion. I think we're probably gonna wrap up here. Or Imperator. Do you want to give your
Yeah.
comments?
Oh, well, I was just going to ask about the Iranian oil situation. I'm not sure. Are they still under embargo? Because, I mean, like, crazy hypothetical here, but if these protests lead to another revolution and they become a democracy, I mean, call me crazy, but, like, that might not happen for another couple of years. But, that could, if they lift the embargo on Iran after they overthrow the Ayatollahs, that might help bring down the price of oil.
Hold up, Luce. Hey, Luce, I got my son. This is my 12-year-old son. Say hello. Hi. No, don't do stupid shit. Just say hi. Hi. Oh, there you go. Say hi. Say what's up, Luce. Hi.
Oh, a rebel. You got a rebel.
Luce, do you have anything to say to my 12-year-old?
Hey, 12-year-old son of White Geek. If you want to grow up and be rich and successful, listen to everything that we say.
Yes, I can agree with that. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good path. And I hope you feel better. Is he terribly sick, or is he like a 40-year-old man?
He's 12. Come on now. You've been 12.
So you say. All right. Well,
That's
thank you.
cool.
White Geek, is this the whole family? Is this most of the
No,
family that we've met
no,
now?
man. I got a shitload more. You want to go?
Wait, you got a girlfriend and a wife on the
I'm
side?
not even. I mean, we're not talking about that. Listen, I'm just doing it for them. I'm not doing it for you anyway. I'm tormenting the child.
Oh, all right, all right. Well, hey, it's a pleasure meeting your family.
Yeah, I know.
And I
You
think
ain't met. You met my did you meet my daughter? I know Opinion did.
yeah, we met. We talked. Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, I couldn't remember
right?
if you were there or not. I couldn't remember, man. You let me down all the time.
I talked directly to your daughter. Yeah, and I said, "Call me
I
when
let
you're
you down
older."
all the time. Let's be real. I don't remember that.
Well, we had a lot of people on heroin yesterday. So, hey, Penny, you want to wrap this up?
Yeah, all right. I guess this is yeah. Yeah, thanks, Wonky, for your family. That's great. This is a real family-friendly event.
It is.
These talks, right, Moose?
Oh yes, yeah. Happy 1 year anniversary to the talks, to the shitty talks.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Like it's probably been like, if you guys have been paying attention to all of these talks and stayed here for as long as I have, I think it's been like at least like 500 hours. So thank you for wasting 500 hours of your life with me.
Whoa, wasted. Come on now.
Well, I mean, maybe you made $1 or $2.
Wait, so you guys aren't going to replace my full-time job?
Oh, no, that's on you.
It's just the friends we made along the way, not whether or not we made money. Wait.
Yeah, it's been an incredible year, and looking forward to the next one. The next talk you hear will be season 2. So yeah, going to start publishing these also to like podcasts and stuff. If you want to, for whatever reason, listen to them.
Yeah, if you want to listen to the shitty podcast again, this will be available to you.
There has been some golden moments, some of which had me pulling out my hair, like the Veterans Day or being journalist.
How about this? Nice if you guys want like a tight, lean podcast, like a real fucking podcast, not this, let's meet the Watt Geek family bullshit.
No, you need what?
If you want like a actual podcast setup, like news, a couple hosts, and then we bring up some of you, and it's just a lot tighter. We're talking like maybe 15, 20-minute episodes, once a week, something like that. Tell us in the comments. Just say, I don't know, a WSB podcast in the comments or vodcast.
I do take notes, and I bring them and I read off my notes so that I try and make it my flow quick.
All right.
It really shows, so thank you.
Yeah, we weren't talking about anybody in particular, but
well, just saying that's my method of making it efficient.
Oh, word. All right. Well, yeah, if you want that, just put like WSB podcast, whatever. And because Opinion, I told Opinion about the idea like months ago, and he was like, yeah, let's do it. And then we still haven't done it. So we just need some audience participation there and encourage.
Come on, Opinion.
All right. Let's see the audience participation. See those comments. Well, I'll take a look at them after we close this off. Thank you, everyone, for joining us in the end of season 1.
Thanks for all the good plays.
Yeah, it's mostly loose.
Yeah, I did make a few bucks on Pan W.
Ooh.
We should probably do like a roundup of year 1, but we'll do that next week.
Oh, we could do that. I'll try. Yeah, I'll get my plays together.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. Recap. And I'll include the losers. I'm not a bitch. I'll include the losers.
I'd love to hear what the audience picked up as well. All right. Well, I guess this is it. End of season 1. Thanks, guys.
Congrats.
Players.